So this is a level check, guys. This is what it's going to sound like. And does that sound like it's going okay? If they turn their head this way, you're going to lose it. But if they turn their head this way,
I think what we're going to have to do is just kind of favor in the middle, Chief, just because.
The only other thing is to put it.
It's all about me. It's all about me.
I will politely decline. The only other thing that we could do is we could put all of them. We could put all of them in front and angle them back.
Wouldn't be bad.
Do you guys want that?
This is as good.
Does that sound okay?
All right, we'll just we'll just have people kind of just try and stand because we're going from here up, right? Okay.
Passed, and now I'm going to take a hard pass.
So basically, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of have to be in the middle. So here, K-Pick, sorry, I got to move. I got to move you back. That way we have a clear spot. So we're just going to kind of go right here as best we can.
So we just stand here?
Yeah, this way you can keep your notes, and then if you get specifics about the case itself, Lieutenant Healy is here, and he can jump in. And you can probably refer to him afterwards.
Okay.
But he's here.
So I'm just going to basically. It's going to be very. So it'll be very stick to the points that you wrote. So.
Yeah.
Sarah 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Tammy. Larry Eves getting here slowly.
Okay.
Oh, that may not be a good thing.
That's going to be horrible. He's not going to speak, but he's here.
He's here. Sarah here.
I haven't seen.
Colbert.
That's the lineup.
Okay. And then we got SFC as well.
She's here.
Okay. All right. So we're ready.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
You want to balance it? We got balance.
Is everybody else is good? Setup sounds good. All right.
Ready?
All right. We can go ahead and get started on you, Chief.
Okay, good morning. Thank you all for being here. We have a number of speakers this morning, and I'm going to kick it off just to add some context with the reason that we're here. So we're here today to announce multiple arrests after another senseless and heinous act of violence against an elderly member of our Asian American community. Although we made multiple arrests, our goal is always to stop and address crime before it happens. We've stepped up our presence in high crime areas as well as areas where our most vulnerable communities live and work. We've increased our uniform patrol in our high crime areas and hotspots, and that's thanks to our border supervisors. And we have Supervisor Peskin here, his district. But we wouldn't be able to step up patrols in the way that we have without the overtime that was given to us by the board and the mayor. So we're definitely grateful for that. And we're also thankful for the many individuals and groups, community organizations that work with us day in and day out to try to make our community safer. And it's with their aid that we're able to do our jobs and to be effective in resolving some of these crimes. And I want to particularly call out several groups that are here today: the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, led by Mr. Harlan Wang. SF Safe, we have Executive Director Kyra Worthy here, and Kyra's in back there. And we also have Community Tenants Association, and we have CYC Sarah Wan, who should be here. She's not here already. So we definitely thank those organizations for always working with us, and they do such a good job in supporting members of our communities, especially after tragedies and crimes happen in our city. So the case at hand, I want to talk a little bit about it, and we have the investigating sergeant here, Sergeant Healy. But let me tell you a little bit about this case. On July 31st, 2022, at approximately 5:02 p.m., Central Station officers responded to the 100 block of Francisco Street on a report of a robbery. Officers located a 70-year-old female victim. The victim said she was standing in front of a building when she was approached by 4 juvenile suspects who began talking to her. Due to a language barrier, the victim did not know what the suspects were saying. When the victim turned to enter the lobby of the building, the suspects followed her, physically attacked her, stole her property, and fled the scene. The victim was transported to a local hospital, and thank goodness her injuries were none life-threatening. Our robbery unit led the investigation and developed information that identified suspects in the robbery as 18-year-old Oakland resident Daryl Moore and 3 juvenile suspects ages 11, 13, and 14. You heard me right, 11, 13, and 14, which is really, really sad. Moore and the 13 and 14-year-old suspects were booked on robbery charges, elder abuse, that's Section 368B1 of the California Penal Code, burglary, that's Section 459 of the California Penal Code, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. Due to their age, the 11-year-old suspect could not be charged in this case. On August 10, 2022, the Milpitas Police Department officers contacted Moore, the 13-year-old suspect, and the 11-year-old on an unrelated criminal matter and arrested them. Moore was booked at the Santa Clara County Jail on the warrant. The 13-year-old suspect was booked in an unrelated charge at the Santa Clara Juvenile Hall and is being transferred to the custody of Alameda County, who will book them on the warrant in this case. The 11-year-old was transferred to the custody of the Alameda County Assessment Center. The 14-year-old suspect has not been located yet, but has an outstanding warrant for their arrest in this matter. And if you have any further information, please contact the San Francisco Police Department tip line at 415-575-4444. Again, that's 415-575-4444. Or you can text the tip at TIP411 and begin the text message with SFPD. You can also call our multilingual anonymous tip line at 1-415-558-5588. And just a note, before I turn this over, that tip line was developed specifically for the increase in AAPI crimes that we saw after the global pandemic, 2020 and 2021. We really, really need people to be engaged, report what you see, because this is how we're able to get the evidence we need for our prosecutors to hold people accountable. We will do everything in our power to make sure that we prevent these from happening, but in the event that they do, we have to have accountability. And we have a team behind us, including our DA, Brooke Jenkins, our supervisor, and many others here. And that's what we're here for, to make sure that these crimes stop. And if they happen, the individuals are held accountable. So with that, I want to introduce Supervisor Aaron Peskin. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you, Chief Scott. On behalf of myself and my constituents and my colleagues on the Board of Supervisors, I want to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to Chief Scott and the command staff and the rank and file of the San Francisco Police Department, who took this case very, very seriously from moment one. They were in constant communication with me in my office about the measures that they were taking, contrary to some claims by certain individuals. They immediately began investigating this case, identified the suspects, and as you heard from the chief, have already apprehended a number of them. I also wanted to use this as an opportunity to let my constituents and all of you know about the robust services that are in place and that were immediately utilized in this instance. Not only did Acting Captain Farmer personally visit the victim, but we had professionals provided by CYC and Sarah Wan who immediately went into action in a linguistically competent fashion and went to Mrs. Wren and her daughter to provide her with everything that she needed. Contrary to the well-meaning wishes of some who would like to raise money in her name, Mrs. Wren does not want money raised. She is being taken care of. And this same group of organizations, Self-Help for the Elderly, the Community Tenants Association, Chinatown Community Development, and CYC, have been meeting with the management of Wharf Plaza to work on not only security enhancements, but also other quality of life enhancements for the elderly, many of them monolingual Cantonese population that live in that 230-unit facility. So I would like to say that we have taken some advantage of this brutal attack to improve the lives of our constituents and our most vulnerable. I really, again, want to thank the SFPD for not only taking this crime very seriously, but the wave of anti-Asian hate crimes that we have seen now in San Francisco. Each and every one of them have been the subject of serious, thorough investigations, and most of them have ended in arrests, and then it goes to the DA for the administration of justice. Thank you again to the SFPD, and next I'd like to bring up our District Attorney, Ms. Brooke Jenkins.
Good afternoon, everyone. The moment that I saw the video of the attack on Miss Wren, I can't tell you the feelings that I had inside. What is going on in our society, quite frankly, and in San Francisco is, as you all understand, very disturbing. And so I want to first commend the San Francisco Police Department for solving this case so quickly. They have been in contact with my office throughout the process and since this happened to keep us informed of their investigation and of what was going on. And I want the community to understand that my office will do its part once those cases come to us in the coming days to make sure that they are charged according to the law and that we do have accountability in this case. But beyond that, I think a greater dialogue and discussion has to begin. When we are seeing our children involved in these types of crime, I think it sends a message to us all that we need to do more as a community here in San Francisco more broadly to discuss how we have gotten to this point. And so I'm going to seek to have my office as well as our partners reach out and establish a dialogue within the community about how we can get these crimes to stop before they happen and how we as a society come back to the place where our elders are respected and regarded differently, and where we can actually address what is leading to these types of attacks happening, because that's what it's going to take to get it to stop. So again, I commend the San Francisco Police Department for solving this so quickly, and we will take it from here to make sure that we send the message that we need to, that these types of situations won't be tolerated here.
Thank you very much. My name is Larry Yee. I'm the police commissioner, also a Chinese leader here at the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association, also known as Six Company. First of all, I'd like to thank the police department for their prompt, investigation and arrest of the suspects. I want to thank also the chief, as you've been seeing me holding the sign up. This is about against AAPI hate. This is in each of the stations that the police department has put forward. We ask that the public, if you're been harmed, if there's been attack against you, to report it. Just to let you know, the Chinese community, they feel that they don't want to get involved in this. It happens a lot, and it's now time for them to stand up and report it so it does not happen again. And hopefully we catch the perpetrators that does commit the crimes. So again, congratulations to the police department. And I would say to everybody else, let the police do their work and let the district attorney do their work. And please, everybody come out. We're safer as we are more out there, stronger together. So again, thank you very much. And as I call next my police commissioner, Kevin Benedicto, come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Benedicto, and I'm also a member of the San Francisco Police Commission. I wanted to be here today to also commend Chief Scott, the command staff, and the tremendous officers for their swift action, their serious investigation, and congratulate them on these arrests that they've made. I'm very glad that these arrests were made. Also want to thank all the community organizations, Chinatown Community Development Organization, CYC, all the community groups that have banded together to help make this community safer. We've seen a continued wave of these horrible and despicable attacks, and We know they are not isolated incidents, and we can't treat them as isolated incidents. They are systemic and widespread problems that need systemic and widespread solutions. They're an emergency and they need to be treated that way. And so from the Chief's office to the DA to the Board of Supervisors, we need a community-wide response to help address the attacks as well as the root causes behind the attacks. We need to work with our communities at the local, state, and federal level to make sure there are resources to combat anti-API violence in all of its forms and ensure that our community can be safe. This is our home, and everyone deserves to feel safe in their home. So I want to thank the Chief, and again, but also note that we have a lot more work to do at a much broader level to ensure that we address these attacks and keep our community safe. Thank you. And I'm going to bring up Acting Captain Douglas Farmer here at Central Station.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Acting Captain Douglas Farmer. I'm the captain of Central Police Station. First thing I want to say is thank you to Sergeant McMilton and Lieutenant Healy for a great job in following up on this case. They did an excellent job, as did the plainclothes officers in our district and neighboring districts in identifying these subjects. As captain of Central Police Station, I know it's my duty to safeguard the citizens of our district and the city at large. Chinatown is a beloved member of our community here in Central Police Station, and it's not lost on our officers, who I maintain are some of the hardest working cops in the city. We know that these valuable communities mean a great deal to the citizens and to the city at large. It's my pledge to you to focus our forces, our personnel, our resources into those communities who are most at risk, including the elderly, the Asian folks that live here, and folks that do not have a sense of security. The first duty of government is to protect your citizens, and I know that I'm at the forefront of that. I'm going to make sure that all of my footbeats are out. I'm going to make sure that I have as many multilingual officers as I can out on the beat. We have extra officers out on the footbeat through our tourism program, and thanks for the chief and the mayor for giving us the resources to do that. We have our new ambassador program. If you don't know, there are a couple of folks standing around in the light blue shirts. They're retired officers that go out into the community, engage with the community. I've had them going out into the various neighborhoods, some that were not really as the focus, but since the attack on Mrs. Wren, we've expanded our footprint with that. And at night, I know that there's been some recent crimes in Chinatown that we're combating, and I'm fighting that with extra patrols throughout the night, 24/7, all week long. Central Station is dedicated to the safety of our community, no matter where it is. I give you my pledge that we won't stop, we won't quit, we won't sleep. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Next we're going to call Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Harlan.
Thank you for everyone for coming out. My name is Harlan Wong, and I'd like to represent Chinese Chamber of Commerce to say a few words. Crimes against any ethnicity are not acceptable. Asians are incorrectly blamed for the COVID pandemic. In turn, the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate our city's finest, the San Francisco Police Department, for apprehending the perpetrator of this crime. This requires the cooperation and communication between the community and the department. I would really hope to see that this continue, our partnership. Thank you.
Is Emily here from Self-Help? Okay, and then how about our representative from the Community Tenants Association, or CTA?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Emily from Self-Help for the Elderly. So it was heartbroken and disturbing to hear the violent crime happen against senior. And we contacted the victim immediately after the attack happened to coordinate services with the victims and for more social services too. And thanks to the joint efforts of SFPD, the DA office, and the community partners in San Francisco to pursue the arrest and prosecution. And safety is always on top of our priority of our agency. And we self-help provide senior escort services to our seniors, so then they can have an escort worker to escort them to social activities, door-to-door services. We will continue to work with SFPD, the DA office, and also community partners to build a safer and stronger community. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to bring up President Kwan from the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association.
大家好，咁我哋喺呢度咧，好多謝咧警察捉到呢個罪犯。咁大家都知道咧，襲擊呢個亞裔長者，打爛店鋪玻璃、汽車嘅玻璃，成日都發生。我哋希望警察加強巡邏，盡快可以改善呢個治安嘅環境，俾一個商戶同埋居民一個安居樂業嘅環境。多謝大家。
Do we have the representative from the Community Tenants Association?
Yeah, here comes Rosa and Mrs. Zhang.
大家好，我係社區住客聯會副主席鄭佩堅。首先，多謝各位各方的努力，傷害任女士的兇手才能捉拿歸案。但係，這宗案件只是冰山一角，解決一宗案件不能讓長者對治安的信心完全恢復。社區住客聯會有超過2700名長者會員，遍佈三藩市。這2年來，我們長者面對新冠疫情的威脅，又要承受仇恨罪案的恐懼，每日都提心吊膽。三藩市近年長者，
Hi everyone, my name is Pei Jansen. I am the Vice President of CTA. I would like to start with thanking all parties in helping with arresting the suspect of Mrs. Ran's case. Sadly, this is just one of the many cases. Solving one case will not bring seniors confidence and peace back completely. CTA, Community Tenants Association, CTA, has nearly 3,000 members all over San Francisco. In these 2 years, seniors have to face the threat of COVID and bear the fear of the attack. We feel afraid and helpless every day. We don't feel safe even at home.
三藩市近年長者受工罪案呢，經過多次嘅討論、集會、遊行，現在仍然看見傷害亞裔老人的罪案一而再、再而三地發生。社區住客聯會要求政府部門如警局、地檢官、法官必須合作，制止同樣罪案發生。我們不能接受再多一次受害長者，保護長者刻不容緩。如果人民的生活都保障不到，如何來生活呢？多謝大家。
The city has discussed multiple times about senior attack. We had too many rallies, meetings, demonstrations, but the crime is still happening again and again. We need the city departments like the police department, district attorney office, and the court to work together to bring justice and healing to Asian seniors. We cannot bear to see another victims. We cannot wait anymore. We need to protect the senior right now. If we cannot protect the seniors, how are we supposed to live our life? Thank you.
Do we have a representative of the Chinatown Community Development Center or the Community Youth Center? Okay, Sergeant Lobsinger, if you can come up, facilitate a few questions.
Chief, you want to come up?
Yeah.
Chief, we'll take a few questions. Are the hang on. We'll go right here first.
Thank you. I'm wondering if this should be treated as a hate crime. Maybe the DA would like to step in, just tell us why or why not.
Well, when the elements are there, and I'll ask the DA to come in and speak to the elements of hate crime. When the elements are there, definitely we try to pursue it. When we work with the district attorney's office on that, but we have to have the evidence. So, district attorney.
Right. In order to prove it, yeah. Just like in any case, when we get the materials of the case file, we will do a comprehensive review to see what charges based on the law that we can file. With respect to hate crimes, they do require the proof of motive. And so that oftentimes requires some expression verbally from an assailant, or it requires some level of investigation into past history, into social media content, other things. And so, of course, we will work with SFPD and our own investigators to do a deeper investigation into those other types of evidence, but we will charge this case according to what we can based on the law.
Follow-up question on that. Because there was a communication, how does she know if they weren't using words or terms of hate towards her? I mean, this is a really tough situation unless we've got audio of the video.
Right, and so we have to work with what is given to us. And so, again, we will base our decisions off of what evidence is in front of us, and we will continue to pursue other avenues of investigation to see what else we can find.
I have a question also. I'm with ABC7. So you said we'll take it from here. So what does that actually look like when you're dealing with minors in this case?
Yeah, and so the 18-year-old will obviously have his charges filed in adult court. The juveniles will proceed through the juvenile system. With the 11-year-old, that's going to be a community issue because he's too young to be charged with a crime. And quite frankly, obviously there are concerns about the type of guidance that is in his life, given the fact that he was being taken out to engage in this type of behavior. And so we will treat each side as what they are. One is an adult and two are juveniles. And so they will proceed as they normally would through the system.
Are you shocked about their ages? Are you shocked about their ages?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everybody standing here was probably shocked that we've got young children involved in these types of vicious assaults.
Are they in custody?
The 18-year-olds in custody, the juveniles, my understanding, are not.
They are not. And do you have home residences for the juveniles where they live?
I don't.
If you could talk about the video, what role did that play in the investigation, and what role will that play in terms of the prosecution? Was that video a critical element in trying to resolve this?
Video is always helpful, and again, we have to use whatever evidence that we have out there. When we have video, oftentimes it paints one element of what happened, but it doesn't tell the whole story. So that, along with other evidence, will be what the prosecutors need to do what they need to do. But videos are always helpful. There's a lot of videos out there, and for those folks that have home systems or cell phone videos, when you capture these crimes, we ask you to bring it forward. Please, turn it over so we can use that to hold people accountable.
Just a couple more questions for Chief Scott.
Are the juveniles at school this week, or do they have to stay home?
I don't know, and because they're juveniles, we have to be very limited with what information we can put out. But the sad part is the fact that we're here in front of you talking about 14, 13, and 11-year-olds committing violent robberies. I mean, I hope that shocks the conscience of everybody, because we have to do better. We have to do better as a society. The criminal justice system can do what it can do, but this is as much of a community issue as anything else. As a community, we got to do better.
Do we know if Daryl Moore has an arrest record here in San Francisco, either for similar crimes or for other crimes?
Criminal history information is somewhat protected. And I can bring Lieutenant Healy up and maybe answer the questions that he can answer.
Does anybody have any questions about the investigations? A little more detail? We can bring Lieutenant Healy up here.
Yeah.
So this is another high profile case against Asian American, and even the community feels targeted. Sometimes the evidence doesn't support So for the investigation, do we have any days of change to maybe have a further investigation or help find some evidence to support our community view?
Well, even though we've arrested and people in this case, the investigation still goes. So evidence oftentimes is uncovered after the arrest, and we'll see what happens from there. The fact that we have an elderly person that was brutalized in the way that Mrs. Wren was is really, it should be shocking, and I hope everybody is as fed up with this as we are. We're going to do our best, and we have to be professional, and we have to do our jobs the right way. But I mean, this is really a sad state of affairs, and we need to do better. This police department, as Acting Captain Farmer said, we're not going to rest. There's a lot of victims out there. It was mentioned by many people here at the mic today. This is just one case, and there are many other victims out there that we need to bring justice to those cases as well, and we're working to do that.
One more.
Now, is there any indication that this was actually a hate crime in this case?
At this case, it has not been charged as a hate crime. Again, these investigations are ongoing, so we don't know. As the DA pointed out, DA Jenkins pointed out, they have to evaluate all the evidence and see where that leads. But at this point, no. Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
So one question for the DA. You mentioned that you want to send a message. So what's the type of message that you want to send regarding this specific case from the prosecution, specifically with this, these people being minors?
Well, of course, we always have to be sensitive to the issue of dealing with children. But at the same time, we have to make sure that people in San Francisco and outside of San Francisco understand that you cannot commit crimes like this in this city and get away with it. We cannot have our elderly citizens, our seniors, scared to come outside, scared to even walk back into their homes, because this is where that happened for Ms. Wren. But again, we will deal with every defendant as we need to, separately. And make sure that accountability takes the form that it needs to based on their ages.
What could they be facing?
We don't have, we're right now just awaiting some of the materials from the police department. So until the charges are actually filed by my office, I can't answer that question.
How do you deal with juvenile justice with multitudes of charges like this, particularly under 14 years old?
Yeah. I mean, sadly, it's not unusual. It's something that, does happen. And so, again, I will leave that to my attorneys in the juvenile division to make sure that they are working, with the court in that area.
Will there be any consequences for the parents?
Okay, that's the last question. You can.
Consequences for the parents?
For the parents, no, that's outside of our jurisdiction.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. The news release regarding this arrest has already been sent out. Everybody should have it. If you don't, you can follow up with my office, Media Relations, but everybody should have it right now. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Appreciate you being here.
All right. You take, sir.
Look at the spelling on Morris last name.
M-O-O-R-E.
I don't know if somebody has some generic, specific questions about the administration I could talk to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to facilitate that.
So basically, Healy and I will talk together.
Okay.
Because we're pretty much on the same page.
And yeah, real quick, if anybody has any questions about the investigation, we can't have Deputy Chief Desolani available. You know what? Let me see if I can find it. I have a question.
Oh, Roberto! ¿Qué pasó? Roberto?
Let me see if I can find it.
Roberto Chavez.